Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. This is the Minister M.L. Kimball coming to you live this evening again with another Bible study. We're going to get into it. We've been studying out the Tanakh and we actually been studying out the Torah. And so I'm going to climb back into Deuteronomy 28. It's one of my favorite chapters to actually cover. It gives a clear identification of what happened to the ancient children of Israel because of disobedience. And it also gives clear identification of who the people are of the book. And whoever claims that they're the people of the book, I don't have a problem with it. They just better be able to fit the description that is identified in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. So I'm going to share that tonight. Please like, share, and comment on this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Money and Prosperity channel if you haven't got a chance to yet. Um, we do appreciate all of the support and all of you that do take a look at what I have to say. I appreciate that. For donations, you can send us a donation if you choose to by using our company cash tag at DonateKNSMIN. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I don't like to talk about anything I care about. I like to see what the scripture says. There's enough preachers and churches running around saying what their philosophy is, but nobody seems to like to get into the scriptures. And that's what we're going to do tonight. So if you have your Bibles, I want you to go to Deuteronomy chapter number 28. And we're going to look at not the blessings, but we're going to look at we'll look at some of the blessings, but we're going to look at some. I want to really, really get into the curses because the curses is what identifies the people of the book. You cannot declare to be the people of the Hebraic book if you don't fit these curses right here that were identified when Moses told them to choose this day which way you're going to serve. Choose life or choose death. So, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse number 1. We'll start there. He says, "And it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahuwah." I'm not going to ever say Lord because, again, Lord means Baal. So I don't care what anybody tells you, study it out. I don't care what's in the book, what they put in the book to confuse you. The word Lord means Baal. So you never hear me refer to the Most High Yah with the term of Lord. But even though you see it here, I'm going to always either call him Yahuwah or Yah. So he says, if you don't hearken diligently unto the voice of, if you hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahuwah, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command you this day. So he said all of his commandments. So who came up with we just have to do the 10 commandments? I need to know who said that because he said all of his commandments, and there were more commandments than just 10. Do you really think it took 40 days for the Most High to give Moses 10 commandments? What do you think he was doing in those 40 days? He didn't just get 10 commandments. So that scam that they told you is wrong and is set in as a trap to bamboozle you, to get you away from the commandments of the Most High. So he says, all his commandments, which I command you this day, that Yahuwah will set you on high above all nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come on you, overtake you, and you shall hearken unto the voice, if you shall hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah. So now we got to stop right there and ask ourselves, did they? Did they hearken? Did they listen? And the answer is no. So now what did Moses say was going to happen because of them being disobedient? What did he say was going to happen because they didn't listen? Let's take a look. We're not going to run through these blessings because you've heard it at church. You danced on it everywhere. Blessed in the city, blessed in the field, but nobody wants to deal with what were the consequences if you didn't obey. And that is what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to slide on down to verse number 15. You see, the title is The Consequences of Disobedience. Verse 15 says, "But it shall come to pass, if you will not hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day, that all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you." Now, as I read some of these curses, I want you to identify in your mind, who does these curses fit? What group of people fits these curses? Because if they're not going to fit these curses, they are not the true people of the book. Verse 16, he says, cursed shall you be in the city, cursed shall you be in the field, cursed shall be your basket and your store, cursed shall be the fruit of your body and the fruit of your land, the increase of your kine, and the flocks of your sheep. Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you go out. Yahuwah shall send upon you cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that you set your hand unto for to do, until you be destroyed, and until you perish quickly because of the wickedness of your doings, whereby you have forsaken me. Yahuwah shall make the pestilence cleave unto you, until he has consumed you from off the land where you go to possess it. Yahuwah shall smite you with consumption, and with fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue you until you perish. And your heaven that is over your head shall be brass, and the earth that is under you shall be iron. The Lord Yahuwah shall make the rain of your land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon you until you be destroyed. Yahuwah shall cause you to be smitten before your enemies. You shall go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And your carcass shall be meat unto all the fowls of the air. Only one people was hanging in trees. Don't make me identify it for you. Go into your history books and see who they hung in trees, and their carcasses became meat to the fowls of the air and unto the beasts of the earth. And no man shall fray them away. Yahuwah will smite you with the botch of Egypt, showing that they had been in Egypt before. These people had to have been captive in Egypt if they are the people. So we can't just skate past who is the people if he's identifying with the curses. You are identified by based on your life. And with emerods and with scab and with the itch where you cannot be healed. Yahuwah shall smite you with madness, blindness, and astonishment of heart failure. And you shall grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and you shall not prosper in your ways, and you shall be only oppressed and spoiled evermore. This people is a people that is always and only oppressed. No man shall save you. You shall marry a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Go back in history and tell me about those big, nasty, ranging beasts that was laying on your ancestors while she was screaming out to the Most High Yah to judge this thing, while he was raping her. So don't tell me that the book doesn't line up. He says, another man shall lie with her. You shall build a house and you shall not dwell in. Who built Congress? Who built the White House? You shall plant a vineyard and shall not gather the grapes. Thine ox shall be slain before your eyes. You shall not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from you before thy face, and shall not be restored to you. Thy sheep shall be given unto your enemies, and you shall have none to rescue them. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. Well, who is he talking about here? We got to ask ourselves. Go to the movie Roots and remember when Kizzy got sold, and you tell me, who is he talking about here? The fruit of your land and all your labor shall a nation which you know not eat up, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed always, so that you shall be mad for the sight of thine eyes which you shall see. Yahuwah shall smite you in the knees and in the legs, and a sore botch that cannot be healed from the sole of your foot unto the top of your head. Yahuwah shall bring you and your king which you shall set over you unto a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known. And there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone. That wood is the representation of that cross that they gave you. And the stone is what the Muslims are serving and what they worship. Islam, Nation of Islam. He said that this was going to happen. And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword. What is the byword? Somebody tell me what the byword is. The word Negro is the byword. They say it in every language. Among all nations, whither the Yahuwah shall lead you, you shall carry much seed out into the field and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. You shall plant vineyards and dress them, but shall neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. You shall have olive trees throughout all your coasts, but you shall not anoint thyself with the oil, for thine olive shall cast its fruit. You shall beget sons and daughters, but shall not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. All your trees and fruit of your land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get above you very high, and you shall come down very low. He shall lend to you, and you shall not lend to him. There was a time where African Americans we could not get approved for FHA. There was a time where we fought in wars and we did not get the GI Bill. He said they will lend to us, but we will not lend to them. He shall be the head and you shall be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you and shall pursue you and overtake you till you be destroyed, because you hearken not unto the voice of Yahuwah to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and upon your seed, that's your children, forever. Because you serve not Yahuwah with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shall you serve your enemies, which Yahuwah shall send against you in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness, in the want of all things. And here's the key, people. He shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck until he has destroyed you. You can bring up any other group of people that was in slavery. Only one people was put a yoke around their neck. Study it out for yourself. You can tell me about Hitler. You can tell me about any other concentration camp you want to talk about. But there was only one people that had an iron yoke put upon their neck. Study it out. Yahuwah shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies. We've been in the first grade. What nation is represented by the eagle? I need somebody to tell me. I was in first grade. The United States is represented by the eagle, a nation whose tongue you shall not understand. Why? Because they spoke Hebrew. They spoke Hebrew. That's why they could not understand America. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. He shall eat the fruit of your cattle and the fruit of your land until you be destroyed, which also shall not leave you either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of your kind, or flocks of your sheep, until he has destroyed you. And he shall besiege you in the gates until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein you trusted throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege you in the gates throughout all thy land, which Yahuwah hath given you. And you shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and your daughters. Check out cannibalism during slavery. At some points, there were times where our ancestors felt it was better to eat their own children so that they did not have to come into a life, be born into a life of slavery. Not to mention how many times that the slave owners or the ship leaders, they've fed carcasses of dying slaves, believe it or not, to some of the slaves that were on the boat. How did they make it that long out on those waters with no food? Because there's one point they had to run out of food. What were they doing? What were they doing? Look up the Detectable Negro. That is a novel written about cannibalism that went on during slavery. I know it sounds horrible, but why is this here? Which Yahuwah has given you in the siege and in the straightness, wherein your enemies shall distress you, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, toward the wife of his bosom. Look at how husbands and wives are acting with each other today. And toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he has nothing left him in the siege and in the straitness, wherein thine enemies shall distress thee in all your gates. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. Look at how our people do our children. Look at it. And toward her young one that comes out from between her feet, and toward her children, which she shall bear. For she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in thy gates. If you will not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and fearful name, Yahuwah, then Yahuwah will make these plagues wonderful, the plagues of your seed, your children, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon you all the diseases of Egypt, again confirming that they had been in Egypt before, which you were afraid of, and they shall cleave unto you. Also, every sickness and every plague that is not written in the book of this law, them will Yahuwah bring upon you until you be destroyed, and you shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of heaven for the multitude, because you would not obey the voice of Yahuwah. And it shall come to pass that as Yahuwah rejoiced over to do you good and to multiply you, so Yahuwah will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. And you shall be plucked off the land where you goes to possess it. And Yahuwah shall scatter you among all people. So again, his people are scattered. His people are not contained in one area. So the people that are in Israel today, they cannot be his people if the book says that his people were scattered among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. Again, there's your cross and your Muslim stone. And among these nations shall you find no ease, neither shall the sole of your foot have rest. But Yahuwah shall give you there a trembling heart, failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind, and thy life shall hang in doubt before you. I don't know about you, but every time I get pulled over by the police, I don't care. I don't even have a record, but I tell you what, my life is in danger, and it does hang in doubt. And there's only one group of people that have to worry about that every time the police get behind them. Sorry. You shall fear day and night, shall have none assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, would Yahuwah it were evening. And at evening you shall say, would Yahuwah it were morning. For the fear of thine heart, wherewith you shall fear, and for the sight of thine eyes, which you shall see. And Yahuwah shall bring you into Egypt again with ships. Now let's stop right there. If we're talking about physical Egypt back then, they didn't need ships to get into Egypt. It was a 4-day walk. So he's talking about a place that signifies today. Where's Egypt today? Take out a dollar bill and look at the back of it. It is set up under the same system as Egypt. Take out your dollar bill and tell me that you don't see Egypt represented on the back of it. So he says, I will bring you into Egypt again with ships. By wherefore I spoke unto you, you shall see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. They try to say, oh, that no man shall buy you don't mean nothing. No man shall buy you means nobody's going to get you out of this. Nobody's going to get you out of this. So regardless of what you may think, this is talking about a people. And those people are identified based upon their disobedience and the curses. So regardless of what Scamified Scam told you, that it's not important to follow his commands and statutes, you are being bamboozled, and the person that's telling you that will be judged, because it's the blind leading the blind. He never said that you no longer have to obey the law, even though the Messiah came, or even if he didn't come, or even if he did fulfill the law. That nowhere did it say, because he fulfilled it, you no longer have to obey. Study it out for yourself. Until next time, I am the Minister M.L. Kimball. I want you to be blessed on purpose.